Victor, thank you so much for coming on to Startup Steroid today and talking to us about your company. Your co-founder Javier is also on the line, so he might jump in if we have any questions for him.
Right.
But before we get into the company and all of the functionalities you guys are building out, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about sort of how you got started and what brought you to this
Great. Thank you, Deval, for having us here, and thank you for all the watchers. Well, first, I'm Víctor Hugo. I'm Mexican. I live in Mexico City. Right now, actually, in like 20 minutes, I will go out to Guadalajara. That it's a city it's 6 hours from Mexico City. And you know that the Mexican people said that Guadalajara is the new San Francisco. Yeah. So let's keep a look on that.
There you go.
Yeah. So I have an actuarial degree. I studied in Mexico. I do also some studies in business administration and also in innovation with a very good institution here in Mexico that is Redbox. Redbox is an institution that actually was made with part of the team that later built Singularity University. So it has a lot of good ideas and a good approach for caring for innovation. And well, I had the past 7 years working since from statistics, and also I lead teams of innovation, of product development, and now I'm on this new role of being in charge of the company. It's a huge role because it's totally to try to think 360, not only on your ship. So it's a total ship. So here I am, Naval.
Fantastic, fantastic. Great introduction. I want to hear about the 7 years that you were working.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you were working on? You mentioned statistics. What were
Yeah.
you trying to achieve in that field?
You know, I started in a company that is still older, this makeup company, and I was just forecasting the sales
Oh,
because
nice.
I love the statistics in the career. You know, I studied actuarial degree, but I need to have more. So I started my career in market research for Nielsen, and I started to really understand that it's not about the statistics. It's about what you want to reach with that. You know,
Mm,
the statistics is the science behind what's next. That was a statement that Nielsen has some couple of years ago, and I compromise totally with that because it's not only about the science. It's what's next. You know, what can you achieve with this? What is AI about? What is NLP? What is NLU? What is this all this modeling? If you don't have a purpose, so I started to build my purpose in the social, and because in Latin America, you know, we have a lot of mom and pop stores, right? For instance, in Mexico, we have 1 million mom and pop stores. So it's a great market, a great market. But in most of the cases, they lack of technology, they lack of knowledge. So in most of the cases, when they have to fight against the huge retailers, they lost. It's totally clear in understanding, but it's
right.
because they lack of that tools. So what's the idea? Can we give them something? Yeah, we can. So
Right.
I started in the statistics, then moving into how we can provide to that people that are actually people that doesn't have studies. They didn't do even the high school. They didn't do in some cases they didn't do anything in school,
Right.
right? So you know it's Mexico and it's Latin America. It's not only some cases. It's a lot of people.
Right.
So what we started to build at the beginning, and it's in my early career, it's how can we do all the maths, do all the statistics, do all the modeling, and try to summarize into something very small that is, hey, mom and pop owner, you should do this. This is the recommendation because of this, and this is the expectancy that you will have. And that's make a lot. Yeah.
Right.
So these people, this is my first experience working with a startup. It's a startup that is an American startup that has a lot of knowledge of Latin America. The name is FrogTech, and they that was my first experience. So we were able to go to these mom and pops and make them increase their profit, to really fight again or be competitive. It's not about fighting; it's being competitive, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's more or less Naval.
That's fantastic. I love the fact that you work, you sort of have this degree in statistics and understand the financial end of things, modeling
Yeah.
the math of running a business, and then you work with the corporates, right? Estee Lauder, you mentioned
Correct.
Nielsen.
Mhm.
So that's a fantastic background to sort of bring into the entrepreneurial space, the startup community. So fantastic start there. Now let's talk about Krino and how you sort of realized that this was really a problem. You talked about the mom and pop businesses.
Yeah.
How does that sort of tie into the company that you started?
Well, as I told you, this was my first experience working from the corporate that I was involved
Yep.
with a startup, and I can tell you that is great. That's great, and you love the startup system.
Hmm.
But it's not the same when you own or you run a startup.
Yes.
It's not the same. So for all the corporate venture capital and for all the companies and the R&D, it's not the same. So but yeah, I really came into Chile because I was living here in Mexico, and then Nielsen took me to Chile to create a new division that is the product and innovation division in Chile. I was leading the retail initiatives in all Latin America. And then I started to recruit companies, startups to work with and to see how it's working and, try to really work with them. And at that time, I met Javier. Javier was a trainee in Nielsen. He was a data science trainee. But, I was like new in the city, so I was totally open, and I'm always totally open to really talk with everyone, right?
Hmm.
So I started to mentorship Javier to his career, and then having a beer. To be honest, having a beer in Santiago because summer is hot.
Yeah.
So having a beer, he told me, "Hey, Victor, I discovered this idea that in the TV show, the TV show said, hey, this comedian, it's great, everyone loves him, but when you saw the social media, when you saw Twitter, everyone hates him."
Oh wow.
Okay. So we said, and he told me, I don't understand why the TV is lying. And I said, Javier, you are very young. But but I said, actually, Javier, it's not only about this. It's like in Latin America, more in other countries, it's like they don't hear, the companies don't hear what you need, don't hear what's your expectations, what are your needs. They comes, create a product and said, hey, Daval, this is the product, buy it.
That's
Okay.
it.
And
Right.
they don't mind. So and I told him, and hey, this is a lot of there's a lot of data, public data, that is actually 90 to 95% of the products that come into the market sucks, and sucks
Yep.
because they don't provide something that the people really needs. So we are starting to discuss about this, and we said, hey, how can, when we said, hey, do you think that the companies doesn't want to hear, or they cannot hear? And we said, let's trust that some companies, hopefully the better ones, really want to hear their customers, but they can't. They don't have the
Right.
tools. They don't have the ways. So we want to create that way. And then Javier switched his degree because he was doing his thesis in some other research, and he said, "You know what? I'm doing on this." And I said, "I'm going with you." So I was his mentor in the thesis, and we go through how to really listen to people and try to summarize a lot of ideas, a lot of volume of data into specific ideas that can be achievable, and the governments, the companies, the institutions can take. Okay,
And benefit from it,
so
right?
that's where we started, and then we started to do some consultancy services. We do some social hearing and a lot of things. But well, that's more or less how we switch this
Yeah,
idea.
absolutely. That's a fantastic start, and I love the idea of taking complex ideas, big issues, and sort of making them more simpler and easier to communicate. I love that idea. So when you started Krino, and you started essentially as a consulting service,
Yeah.
what were the clients you were going after? What were the types of conversations you were having?
It was very early for us. Javier was just, he published his thesis, and that thesis were a lot of making a lot of noise here there in Concepcion, that is a city in Chile. And so he went published, okay, in some media.
Hmm.
So the clients one by one start to come and say, "Hey, how do you do that? Can I do that in my business?" Yes, you can. So and actually the first client that we had is actually, we do a very good work, so they become the early investors of Krino. Okay,
Oh wow. Okay.
we didn't have a name yet. We didn't. It was like Javier and Victor's company, but this guy, that actually is a real estate company. We do a study. We analyze 11,000 ideas, okay, in the cloud about what the people on that city want in terms of houses, apartments, how many bedrooms, and what kind of facilities, what kind of way of working, or what it's the nature, what's the deal taker,
Right.
so we do that analysis. We run it in kind of 2 weeks. When he do that like 5 years ago, and he spent like 6 months, and we do it in 2 weeks. And this went so well that when they come into this new idea of the new apartments that they will building, they duplicate the
Mm.
rate of new customers that want to go and test that apartments. So they really hear their customers, right?
Right.
So that's where we started. That's the kind of companies that actually, it's not a real estate company is not a small company. I mean, they have money, they
Right.
have resources, but they have resources for their business, and that's
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
If they want to go to do some research, is research about how to do it more cheaper, or how to do it more like better spaces, or maybe these new studies that they need to improve. But this business idea, this people idea, we are supporting them now.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So I love the idea, the concept of connecting customers or taking in the data from customers, their viewpoints, and delivering that to your client. I guess that's essentially where the company started, but now it's
Yeah.
going more into AI and other functionalities. So let's talk about
Sure.
that progress. Consultancy is not a scalable business, like we know.
No. No.
You only have
No.
24 hours in a day. So what's the next phase look like? Where did you go? Where did you guys go after that?
Actually, it wasn't actually the new company ideas that we have. We do a pivot in the middle, in the meantime, that it was like, okay, so now we found that we have the resources to take great amount of data, qualitative data in Spanish that is hard to understand, because just between us, the Chilean speaks very not well. Okay, so it's not Spanish, it's
Right,
Chilean. Okay,
right.
so and okay, we said, okay, we have that capacity, that capability. Now what? Now we need to get the data. So we do some analysis, and the company said, hey, I have some data. What are the data? Social media. What my clients is saying in my social media. Okay, So we started to research on that, and we switched into a company that actually do some research in the social media. I mean, in Twitter, in Facebook, and that kind of ideas. But then we found out that it's actually not as good information, because when you go through in Twitter, for instance, you most of the cases do some hate statement. Yeah, it's
Yep.
like this company sucks and this, but you're not like critical. You're not really critical. You're just
Right.
doing a small statement. So we said, hey, this is not a good way to really have what the people really thinks and needs, and so on.
Yep.
So how can we create new data? So we took this initiative of creating a chatbot, okay? And we tested it with one client last year. We didn't have either, actually, the platform. We were like with some specific technology, our MVP, and we
Yep.
create and we sell this to this client. And in a weekend, okay, in 3 days, from Friday to Sunday, they found an insight that they didn't found in 2 years of the company.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, just because of the chatbot was there, and hey, about what can I do for you? And then the people said, hey, why I can see the delivery date of these apartments, because the new projects were like project for 2021, 2022, but you didn't
Right.
know if it was January or December, right? And
Right.
this is very important for you, because it's the place that you're going to live, right? You
Right.
cannot say, hey, don't worry, I can live 1 month in the highway, right? So
Right.
so this is very important, and they didn't. I know it sounds very ridiculous, but they didn't know it. And these
Right.
kind of tools making this differentiation. So then we start to understand that it's not only because the chatbot is like it's like a front end, but you need to develop a lot of layers, because
Hmm.
you need to develop where are your clients. Your clients is not always in your website. In some cases is in the street. In some cases is in WhatsApp.
Yep.
In some cases are in Instagram, so on. But okay, when that's where. But who are your companies? Who are your clients? So and that kind of development of building connections, of building the NLP, the research, and try to automate that to this platform, not for only being like question answer a platform or front end, but to be really an assistant, because
Hmm.
so far you're about have an assistant and you said, hey Siri, play this song, but why don't you can say in Spanish, Siri, put $2,000 in Victor accounts, please.
Right.
Right? So,
Right.
and these kind of ideas that can be built. This can be built. This is not rocket science. We're working hard to really building, and how hearing clients, just
Mm.
that.
Got it. Got it. No, I love the idea of, as you're developing chatbots, you're sort of layering in a lot of different functionalities. But let me ask you this, when investors hear the word chatbot or, any technology that sort of resembles that, especially in the United States, in
Yeah.
California, this has been done for the last, 5 years, if not more than 5 years.
More.
So it's very easy to say that, oh, this technology already exists and you guys are too late. So let me ask you that, what is that unique thing that you guys are building that really makes you stand out?
We are clear that we're not in a blue ocean. And I want to set that clear for the investor, because if I come and say, hey, this is a blue ocean, and come and it's like the
Right.
panacea, I will lie. I will lie,
Right.
and I,
Yeah.
I don't want to. But there are some different factors about. The first one is, so far nobody have been caring about Spanish speakers. I don't know if you know, but the Spanish is the second first language in the world. Okay,
Really? Okay.
is the second one.
Yep.
Okay, so more than half a billion people speak Spanish as first language. Okay, in the world, and nobody cares so far. Okay,
Right.
and that's and you know, I know that there are some modeling that have the models in English then translated into the Spanish, but you know, to be honest, it's not one by one. Spanish is kind of bigger and more because
Mm.
we have Spain, Mexico, the Latinos in the US, Chile, Argentina, Colombia, lots of countries that actually kind of differentiate. So
So
first,
essentially,
we're
different dialects of Spanish in
sure,
each of these
yeah,
regions. So if you just
yeah,
hit, translate language to Spanish, you're not going to
you
get
can't.
the right answers.
Exactly, just that, because it's quite harder. So first, thing first, we are a full focus on Spanish speakers solution. Okay, so the NLP, the NLU, or the characteristics of the AI of this engine is built from the beginning in Spanish.
Mm.
Okay, and is improving in Spanish. Okay, and not
Got it.
only the Chilean Spanish, but in Mexico we had works in Colombia, in Peru, in the US, and so this is like improving a lot. Okay, this is the first one, and the second one that actually we are building is this framework. It's like different layers. As I told you, it's about the channels, it's about the resources, it's about the technology, the data capabilities, and so on. But it's also how you can understand your client. And you cannot talk the same to you, Daval, if you request a support because you have some, I don't know, some deals with your car or some issues with your car, or if you have some issues with your mental health. It's not the same way of
Right.
working. It's not the same way of talking. It's not the same resources that you need. So we are building verticals, okay? And these verticals are fully focused on specific items that are actually are building more intelligence. Because if you talk only about health, health with hospitals, clinics, one by one persons, and so on. So you can improve that and really generate something
Right.
very, it's like a fully, not a doctor. I don't want to replace a doctor. I don't want to
Right.
replace a psychologist. I never will want that to do
Right.
it because that's like kind of insane. But I want to provide them resources because
Right.
in Latin America, again, they don't have anything.
Mm. Got it. Got it. Got it. So this is such an interesting idea. So now I think we're more or less, coming into current time. Tell me about those verticals. What verticals have you gone after in the last year, let's say, during 2020? And obviously, COVID, we all were sort of, struggled during that period. What was that period like? So tell me a little bit about the last year.
Sure. Well, we had started this new idea of product and the product development 10 months ago, right? So it's
Okay.
not as old as you imagine. But there are two very specific verticals that we're working and that we actually have some good results. One of them is the one that I just told you, that it's about mental health. The name of this is Carebot. Okay, in Latin America and more in Chile, they told him Carebot, and it's like sweet. It's sweet, really. I really
Right.
appreciate that they told him Carebot. And what Carebot is fully focused on asking you about every day how you're doing, how you struggle your problems, and how you are trying to fix that. And this connects with the resources that we have in psychology, but also with some psychologists that actually
Okay.
provide you support. Okay, so we have a venture with a company here in Latin America. This is Mi Espacio en Línea, and Mi Espacio en Línea has 50, 60 therapists that are actually supporting these specialists. So it's how I can provide you a real benefit level and a real support, not only by technology because that's fake, and not
Hmm.
only by the resources, but because that's expensive. So
Right.
both of them is the best way of doing it. And the second vertical is something that with the COVID thing was very important for the companies is they don't have resources in the street selling. Okay,
Mm.
so they increase a lot the call center costs, but that cost are not so efficient. So what we are working and some clients actually we have call centers in our clients that they I don't know if they spend let's say 2 hours in close a sale with a client, 1.5 hour by my chatbot and point 0.5
Oh,
hour
wow.
by the
Okay.
person. So you
That's
can reduce
fantastic.
75% of the capacity of the call center because this chatbot can sell, can pre-sell, can really figure out, okay, Daval, you want this apartment. Tell me more about your resources. Tell me more about
Right.
your. Can I ask to the city if they can provide a report of your last transactions? Yes, yes you can. So the chatbot go through the system and
Oh,
say
wow.
okay, yes you are able to do it or not, and then say hey double okay, that's great. Just I will just need to switch to these new people so they can close the deal.
Wow.
Something like
Okay.
that.
Fantastic. That's great. So that again, you're sticking with the real estate vertical on that second front, where you're actually closing either rental deals or things of that nature, or
Yeah.
selling property, and then the mental health is the first vertical that you mentioned. That's
And yes, and also
fantastic.
very important to build in this reality. I was part of the people that actually suffer in the pandemic, in
Oh,
the COVID, and I was suffering, and I was saying, hey, I don't have even that I have an actual degree. I live in so many countries, and I still don't have the resources. I mean,
right.
not only economical, but also technical and emotional. So it's really to try to provide this
Yep.
resource because I had the resource to go through a therapist and really improve my quality of life. And I am doing well now, but I want to close that to more people, even more than today.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thank you for mentioning that you're doing well. That's we're rooting for
Great, no,
you, so
yeah,
that's
I'm great.
great. uh, let's talk about sort of next 12 months now. What are your goals for the next for 2021, or for the next little bit of your company?
Yeah, well, so far we have 95% of the resources or the sales in Chile. So now I'm in Mexico. As I told you, I'm going to travel to Guadalajara right now,
Hmm.
and now we want to really consolidate the company through the most important countries in this year, and this is not only Chile but also Mexico and also the U.S. We have some specific and strategic talents in the US that are providing supporting to us, Latinos in the US, that will open that market because it's a market that is kind of not attendant. So
Yep.
this is the first idea in terms of market, in terms of capitalization, to really create these three like points of contacts and really work on solve the problems that we have over there. And the other one is to really consolidate these two verticals. And this we're standing with two, and actually we may have a third one in 6 months after the to really validate the idea. And we
Hmm.
don't want to go with one, but we don't want to go with 10 verticals
Right.
because with 10 we're going to die. We're going to
Yeah,
die.
it's
die.
too
We're,
much.
we're going to burn out. We're going to
Right.
really.
Right.
But we're not building again a vertical chatbot. We're building chatbots or frameworks that can be taken to a vertical. So we need
Right.
really to validate that the same platform can be at least for two verticals. So that's why we are starting with these two verticals, and maybe in some months a third one. But the first year it's minimum two verticals and maximum three of them.
Perfect, beautiful, really well said. And I love the idea that you're not building a chatbot for a vertical, you're building a chatbot that can go into any vertical, but having
Okay,
that
bro. Yeah.
understanding, very smart. So I think the investors that are investing in the company will have the biggest question is, what's the long-term vision, 3 5 years out? Where do you hope to take this company? And do you see an exit in your future?
Totally, totally. We figuring out by now to maybe 5 to 6 years to try to have an exit, and not before, because I'm pretty sure that maybe we can have it before, because this is going to explode. Even though that this is a market that is a lot of companies into it, this is going to really explode. In Latin America, we have a 20% of capacity. We have 80% lack. So again, this is going to explode. But
Right.
we really want to really capitalize a good market, a good idea, good verticals, and that's why we are thinking in 5 to 6 years. Now, what we are thinking about, what are we? Because again, I'm not a chatbot company. I'm a chatbot. I'm an AI platform. Actually, I'm an AI platform that you can use like a framework to build your chatbot. Okay,
Mm,
to really have your support with your clients, to really have a healthy business. So that's why I am what I am. So that what implies that I have a lot of research, and I will have a lot of research on NLP, NLU in Spanish, because that's one of my main
right.
core. And for sure, that is something that, the Google, the Amazon, the IBM should need to have or want to have,
Right.
right? But also, I am that platform that is actually building a specialist in some specific verticals. Again, mental health. So why don't in maybe 3 years, 4 years, one of these companies that is starting to grow in the US, doing some research in wellness, in well-being, maybe want to come to Mexico and do it, or to Latin America and do really good and a great expansion, and they use us as a resource of doing that. So that's kind of ideas that what can we build and how we are doing. When the investors saw our market slide, it is very clear. We're like
Yep.
we're in CX, but we are also in the NLP, and we're also in the AI, and all these markets are double digit growing. So um, I think that again we're in a good place. This is
Yep.
not a blue ocean, but it's still orange, and it's a lot of market to really capitalize in the Latinos market, in the Spanish speak.
Fantastic. Yep. Really well said. I think you're very focused on your market. You understand the capability you want to bring. You're right in that Latin America markets and Spanish first is a lot of times forgotten, or sort of a second priority for you
Mhm.
guys. That's the market you're going after. That's the first and only market that you're focused on. So kudos to that. Really well done. Thank you for talking to us today. I really enjoyed
Thank you.
learning your story. And let's hope we can connect you to some investors now.
For sure. Thank you, Daval, for your time, for these questions, and really appreciate this to continue talking. And my contact will be shortly in the
Absolutely. Your
yeah.
pitch deck, your contact information is all part of your profile. So investors who are listening can log into Startup Steroid and can access everything in one shot.
Great. Appreciate it, Daval. Thank you so much.
Thank you.